Hello, welcome to EPC Pathshala. I am Dr. Tandyali May, Associate Professor, Center for Disability Studies and Action, School of Social Work, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Now, let us talk about ethics and ethical dilemma. Now, before starting the topic, let me tell you what we are going to cover. Professional ethics is the core of social work, must be a part of social work. And in social work, interact with various kind of the people in every day. Social work make it ethical or legal issue, and they may not know what to do, how to do, and what are the codes of ethics that give direction to the social worker to work on the ethical dilemma. And therefore, this model talks about what is ethics, what is the code of ethics, what are the ethical dilemma, what are the steps that we require, and what are the ethical decision making model that course cover on this one. By the end of the module, what we will learn? She will recognize what are the social work ethics. She will also understand how to highlight various ethical dilemma that social workers struggle. Because all dilemmas are not ethical dilemmas. And therefore, the main objective or outcome in that you will learn how to highlight the ethical dilemma that social workers face while practicing this one, and it will also hint at your knowledge, skill, insight about ethics, ethical dilemma, code of ethics to enable you to work more effectively with the people with marginalized group. This one. Now, let us focus on the module. What is the ethic? Maybe you will be confused. What is the ethics? What is the value? Ethics and values may be same. No. Values are different. Ethics are different. Now, you must remember, value is the personal as well as professional. Value is what is the code according to you. Whereas professional value is given by the association, International Social Work Association or National Association of the Social Work. Ethics is also developed by that association also. So we have to remember that professional ethics it must be and it's a core for the social work, and you must be aware about what is the ethical dilemma, because it important to take the decision making truth in this one. Now, what is the definition of the ethic? Now they mention that means rule of behavior. I already mentioned value means you decided what is the best according to you. This is the preference, this is the ideal. Whereas ethics is the rule of behavior. What to do, how to behave, what action should be taken. So ethics concern about what is the right. And therefore, they talked about what is the good and evil, what is the right and wrong, what is the virtue and vice, and ethics concern about the right. So, in simple word, ethics means what is the right, that action should be taken, and there is a rule of behavior to help you to take the right action of this one. Now, for that, the code of ethics are there. Now, why there is the code of ethics? What is the importance of the code of ethics? One is that code of ethics provide set of values and principles that guide social worker, and it helps the social worker how to use the set of value and principle while solving the ethical issue. That one is there. Second is that it also helps at the cornerstone of ethical dilemma that arises every day, and therefore, and it helps how to prioritize what are the possibilities to solve the ethical dilemma. You cannot decide this is the right, this is the wrong, because it can affect. We will discuss further. But this code of ethics helps to solve, to give idea about how to solve the ethical dilemma, this one. Another one is that it also helps social worker how to help the client and in what way. Because sometimes you feel that this is the correct, but it may not be correct. For example, if the client says that I have a Facebook account, can we become the Facebook friend? Now what is the ethic? This is the question. I am not saying whether to accept the client request to become a Facebook friend or not. This is not an ethical issue, or it is an ethical issue, or it is a dilemma. It is difficult to answer because it also depends on what kind of the relationship that you and the client have. Whether your decision will affect the client relationship or not. What are your organization policy to maintain confidential or relationship with the client? Whether there is a harm to have a Facebook friend or not, all these factors you have to keep in mind. And therefore, when we talk about the code of ethics, it does not claim that it is a 100% solution. It gives direction of the right action. So please try to understand this one. Now, when we talk about the code of ethics, there is the recognition. National Association of Social Workers approved a formal code of ethics for social worker from 1960, and now there is a lot of revision in there, and the latest revision is 2008. In India, a declaration of ethics for professional social worker was prepared by Social Work Education Forum. Now, Social Worker Education Forum initiated by Tata Institute of Social Science, Nirmala Niketan College of Social Work, and other College of Social Work also joined in that forum, and they developed the Declaration of Ethics for, and in 1997 this one. Now, when we talk about ethical dilemma, now when ethical dilemma occurs, when there is a clash between two principles, or when there is a clash between two values, or maybe there is a clash between two disvalues, and therefore it is very difficult to understand what should be done. And social worker also concerned how to take right action for that. For example of this one, suppose the mother want abortion of the child. When you talk about ethically right or wrong, when the mother says that I want to abort my child, whereas the doctor says that aborting the child would affect the mother's health. Now what is the ethically right or wrong? Whether there is ethical dilemma or not, that is also a difficult question. Because if you talk about the mother's determination, because this is important, but the doctor feel from the health point of view, it's a danger to the mother's life. But the mother feel that I come from poor family, I don't have money, I can't afford to look after the child. So, how social work with both parties to take right action considering both example of this one. There are a lot of example. You can also see this one and give that example. Maybe you feel that I gave the wrong example. Possible. Because it depends on each individual experience. And therefore, please look at your environment, find out how the dilemma occur and what are your thoughts about that this one. Now, there is also mentioned this one. There is also another way of the ethical dilemma. Maybe agency administration, if you are working the organization, or if you are working the community work, or if you are working the social policy, there are also ethical issues also come up. Sometimes client come to the organization and client feel that this is my confidential information, you should not give to the agency. But the organization say that it is the policy that social worker must give all information about the client to the organization. So this is all the ethical issue also come up. Or what kind of the resources should be given, whether to that particular client or to another client. So remember, when you talk about the ethical dilemma, values and ethical also come together at that process. Because what are your value, society, and when ethical issues come up, what should be done? So you have to work on this one. So I gave a lot of example in that module. You can look at this one because, like for example, if somebody decided to commit suicide, or if somebody did not want to admit in the hospital for the treatment, there are a lot of examples are there. And what are the ethical issues arise in this one? You can also read that module this one. Now, when we talk about the ethics and ethical dilemma, ethical thinkers feel that there are two major approaches while working with the ethics and ethical dilemma. One, deontological approach. Second, teleological approach. Now, what is the deontological approach? Deontological approach is that it is your duty to do. There is no question about the consequence, whether it will affect or not. It is not question. You have to do as a duty. For example, tell the truth. But if you tell the truth and it affects the 1,000 people, that approach does not do. They say that this is your duty to do. That is called deontological. This one. And they are not bothering about consequence. They also don't consider that what is the good principle can create the bad effect. They are not talking about that. Just duty with duty. Now, whereas teleological approach, they talk about that what is the right is determined by the consequence of the decision. That means if the decision, if you decided to take the decision, when it becomes ethical, if it produces good result, that means the outcome should be good. If it is a bad, that means there is unethical. If it is a good, then decision is ethical. That was the, so there are two. One talks about duty, whereas other talks about positive outcome. And therefore decision is ethical based on the positive outcome. Now this teleology has the two types. They divide it into the two major schools. One is egoism, second is utilitarianism. What is egoism? That means people should pursue their self-interest and that good will be accomplished when they do so. Whereas utilitarianism argues that action is right if it produces maximum good. That means egoism talks about only individual, whereas the Utilitarianism talks about the maximum people. So you understood that two point? That means I'm only concerned about my own self-interest. Whereas other talks about the positive outcome for many people. That was the approach talked about this. Now, when we talk about the ethical dilemma related to that approach, now if the while practicing or while working with the people from marginalized group, ethical dilemmas occur. What should be done? There are tips. 5 important clarification, 3 essential detection, and 5 important principles. These 3 areas you have to understand before starting the ethical dilemma. It is a guideline for you to understand how to highlight the dilemma. This one. Now, there are 5 the first one. We talked about 5 important clarification. The clarification will help you to understand whether this is an ethical dilemma or not. So I already gave all the explanation in the module. You can also read in the book. Now one is that human versus ethical dilemma. All ethical dilemma can be human dilemma, but all human dilemma cannot be ethical dilemma. For example, should I watch Dangal or Three Idiots? This is my personal human dilemma. It is not an ethical dilemma. So you have to understand that all human dilemma is not ethical dilemma. So when social work talks about ethical dilemma, first you have to find out whether it is a human dilemma or ethical dilemma. That also helps to understand it. Second is that right and wrong. When you take the action, wrong action, or you are feeling or you are doing wrongdoing action, that also come up this one. Because based on your action, it also decided whether it is a dilemma occurred because of your right or wrong action. This one. Third one is that ethical versus legal perspective. When we talk about the ethical perspective, what is the right? Sometimes legal issue can be unethical. For example, this one. Racial discrimination. You know the race, caste, race, or caste discrimination. Racial discrimination is legally acceptable in the certain country, but ethically it is wrong. It is unethical. So how legal and ethical perspective get conflict? And therefore social worker had to understand, because she had to challenge the legal issue, she had to make an effort to change the policy law to remove the unethical issue. So you have to understand what are the issues that create particular dilemma. Another one is that in ethics, minimal or maximum. Minimal or maximum is that too great, too good, too much. For example, I have to sacrifice my life for you. That is the maximum. But that ethical does not require that maximum. They talked about the minimum. Minimum means what are the minimum require while working as a professional social worker. That is the important. You don't need to do sacrifice everything for that. Because some people show that this is ethically right and I'm sacrificing everything for you. It is not. Then choose between the two values or these values. That if there is the confusion that whether to use this value or this value. For example of this one, value of honesty or value of love. If the child is not performing well and the mother find difficult to tell the child that she are not performing well, but at the same time she also value love for her child. She feel that if I told my child, he will get problem. So she get a conflict of these two values. Or there is also another example in that as an individual I value freedom, but my family value say that it is important for you to be what is it, that responsible person or contribute and take the family member to the hospital or everywhere. So there is also conflict between these two values. So you have to understand lot of example. I gave a personal example, but there are a lot of example also occur in the field of social work. So you have to understand what is the priorities of the values, how to give the importance to which values. So this is the 5 clarification will help you to understand whether there is ethical dilemma or not. That one. Next, 3 essential distinction. Now, it is important to understand some ethical consideration that could help in choosing rightly between competitive values. So there are 3 areas: value of dignity and value of welfare. That means the greatest good for the greatest number. For example of this one, I feel that the client need lot of help, but the client feel that client does not want to depend on the social work for the support. Client want to make in an effort to empower themselves. So the conflict also occurs that value of dignity and value of the welfare. For me, I also value dignity, but at the same time, I understand that client really need support for the welfare. So these two values, I have to understand what decision I have to take. You understood that difference between this dignity and welfare, because it always happens. This one, and sometimes we are tempted to force our value on the client, and then we can use the malpractice or we are imposing on the client, and therefore we have to keep in mind that when the situation occurs, we have to examine what is the best under this situation, this one. And it always remember that value of dignity will come first than the value of the welfare. We should not sacrifice value of the dignity, because if you provide the welfare against the client, which client may be feel hurt, and the welfare support will not help the client to improve or empower themselves. So you have to understand which one is the best. Second one is the moral evil and non-moral evil. Moral evil means what is that problem, this one, injustice, evil. Whereas non-moral evil means, for example, pain. For example, if social worker is working in the hospital, and in the hospital she found that there is a lot of malpractice occurring in the hospital, and therefore she wanted to challenge this malpractice. For example, doctor does not come to the hospital regularly. They don't provide the medicine, or they get too much money from the poor patient. But at the same time, she feels that if she challenges, she will lose the job. But at the same time, she had to understand that this malpractice is the moral evil. But patients suffer because of this malpractice. That is the non-moral evil. And therefore, social work had to decide it. Because non-moral evil becomes more important than is moral evil, or what? It is important to give consider to the patient welfare. Therefore, she had to sanitize this model. The third one, direct and indirect act. Now, what is the difference in that? For example, direct, indirect. I want to kill you. This is the direct act. Whereas, sometimes the dam accidentally open the door to throw the water and many people die. This is the indirect act. So what is the right? Both are not ethical right. But how direct and indirect act? This one. Now another one. Another important, the 5 important ethical principle. So it is already mentioned. It's very clearly about that. It helps us about the how to about choice in the situation. So these are greater good or later evil or double effect. Double effect means it can be bad or it can be bad or good effect. Then principle of non-malfeasance, principle of the chatti, principle of the proportion. All these are 5 important ethical principles are there, and it will help you how to select our choice. Please read that module in the detail one. The last one is that the Rimmer ethical decision making model. He developed comprehensive model, and it will help you how to work systematic and analysis ethical dilemma. There are areas, there are process of ethical decision making. One is first identify ethical issue, including social value and duty in conflict. Second, identify individual groups, organization who would be affected because of dilemma. Third one is that identify all possible course of action. Don't worry about the good or bad. Just find out all actions and find out how participate involved in that course of action and what is the benefit and limitation of this one. Fourth one is that examine the favor and opposite of each possible action. So that means you are talking about the positive and negative, and you are examining of all these one. That income, that all the code of ethics, ethical theory, social practice theory, personal value, professional value, all these will come. And the fifth one is that consult with your colleague and appropriate expert, because it is better to check whether you are taking the right action or not. After practice, you will be expert. But right now, when you start this one, please consult with your colleague and that make the decision and document the decision making process, so that you will get idea if there is something wrong. This documentation will help you what went wrong and how to improve in the next time. And the seventh one, monitor, evaluate and document the decision, and that is the important. If you want an example, you can take the example of that. If there is an orphan girl who is adopted by the adoptive parent, when the child becomes 13 years old, she came to know that she is the adopted child. She was furious. She wanted to meet her biological mother. Now, under that circumstance, what biological mother, adoptive mother, and the child and the social worker should do? Then you find out all these process of ethical dilemma. There are a lot of examples. You take any example and then use the process. And there is the reference, it's given to you. You will get clear picture. There is also case study. You can read. It will guide you how to solve the ethical process. Thanks a lot.